G'day everyone, welcome to episode 29 of the Trademate Sports Podcast. Something a bit different today. As you can see, we are doing an EPL preview. The EPL is back, exciting stuff, and we are joined by two very, very, very special guests. Firstly, we have pro sports bettor, Trademate co-founder, pro poker player, Jonas Gjelstad. He's back. How are you, mate?
Thank you. I'm very good, man. How are you guys?
Oh, I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. And we're also joined by Card Spreadsheets, the man behind Card Spreadsheets, George C. Gamble. Are you there, mate?
I certainly am, thank you. I was kind of wondering how you're going to follow on from all those four names, I have to be honest. But no, I'm all good. And happy to be here again.
Well, mate, a question I wanted to ask Jonas was what one of those mantles do you think, what one do you like the most, mate? Which one makes you the most proud?
I don't know. Probably make me the most proud that I'm a co-founder of Trademate, and I'm here with you, Alex.
Yes, mate. That's what we wanted. That's the answer I wanted. Love it. Screw this pro sports bettor. That means nothing. But we'll kick on and we'll kick things off with my favourite part of the podcast, the football quiz question of the week. And we're going full-on gambling related here. How many EPL clubs have a main shirt sponsor that is from a gambling company? And I'll give you fellas a few options. 5, 10, 8, or 13. Love how I didn't do that one in order. Yeah. But 5, 8, 10, or 13. We'll leave the answer to the end of the podcast, but you guys can stew over that one. But to kick things off, we'll start with you, Jonas, mate. Bundesliga's been on for probably about a month now. La Liga just started on the weekend. Serie A kicking off this weekend, and the EPL. Is there anything you're seeing with the empty crowds, betting-wise, that you think maybe there's some sort of edge in that department out there at the moment?
Hard to say, though. It's been few matches, so I'm going to be very result-oriented. Something you've seen is like they have 5 substitutes instead of 3, so I guess it's going to be higher intensity. More injuries, so a deeper squad would be more interesting. It's going to be harder for bookmakers to have correct odds when you don't know how many minutes each player is going to play, because it's going to be 2 more substitutes with high likeliness. So having a deeper squad is important. No crowd means less advantage for the home team, I would say. But hard to say. Like 2 games a week instead of 1. Going to be interesting to see in a couple of months, or in a month, to see how that actually escalates. Because the players are going to start getting tired. They're not as match fit, and a lot of questions is up in the air right now.
But you haven't seen any trends in the Bundesliga so far?
Trends, no, not really. Nothing I'm just going to go out and say, oh yeah, do this. If anything, I think away team seems to be doing better than expected.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, it's a very small sample size at the moment. And then you, George, mate, anything you're seeing? Is there an increase, decrease in cards? And then whether you think that would be the same in the EPL?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, as Jonas just kind of said, there's a lot of kind of variables there in terms of what's different since football has returned, particularly in the Bundesliga. I know a lot of people have kind of said, particularly with the card markets, I think there's going to be less cards because there's no crowd to kind of, as soon as that challenge goes in, you've got thousands and tens of thousands of fans obviously trying to jump on the rest back saying, why are you giving anything there? But one thing I've noticed kind of on the flip side of that, and I've heard it a few times, is when you're watching a game, because there is no crowd, the players screaming on the floor just all of a sudden seems so much louder, as if something serious has just happened, when 9 times out of 10 it's not. So in a reverse sort of way, ref hears that and thinks that something serious has happened, he's more likely to hand out a card as if it was just a nothing foul. So that's one thing I've seen. But in terms of kind of the Bundesliga since it's come back, there's actually been a slight increase in cards on per game averages across the whole league compared to before lockdown. I think the average was around 3.9 per game beforehand, and that's gone up to 4.6. So it's only slight, but nevertheless, they all count. So there's been a slight increase of that. And just to kind of follow on from what Jonas said as well, in terms of the away teams faring much better, I think from Friday to Sunday this weekend, across Bundesliga and La Liga, there was 18 games and just 4 home teams won, which is quite a big stat if you think about it. Just 4 out of 18 and the home side won, that's it. We've been seeing that the past couple of weeks. The away sides are faring much better. So yeah, there's been, in terms of cards, there's been a few more, I'd say. So there's definitely reasoning behind there still being cards, as opposed to just because there's no crowd. So it's still a market, obviously, that I'm hoping will pay off for that way. So.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting considering, like you said at the start, that you would think less crowds, less energy to spur players on, and less rash challenges. So it's quite interesting that it's actually gone in the opposite direction. So that's definitely for something just for people to look out for in general, is that maybe if you are umming and ahhing about taking overs, that maybe it's not a bad pick during this time. But what we'll do, gents, is we'll go through each match day. We've got games on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And we'll go through each game day and kind of break down anything that you're seeing in the market for those days. So we'll kick things off with Wednesday. We've got the return, Aston Villa, Sheffield United playing each other in the earlier game. And then after that, we have Man City, your team, George, versus my Arsenal. So cracking game there, especially if you're a Man City fan and you're looking to grab 3 points. So Jonas, mate, you can kick us off. Anything catching your eye here, mate?
I think Sheffield United was priced way lower than what I expected. So for those reasons, I think I would go for Sheffield United for those simple reasons. Sheffield United minus 0.25 or something, just below 2. To me, like, I was expecting it to be closer to draw no bet, but then again, I say I don't think I know the lines better than the people that's been moving the markets. I don't have any information of what the different teams have been doing in preparing for these matches. But I'm sure the market has a very good reflection and is usually under moving on the movement. So when something is moving as big as it has been here, I would go for Sheffield United.
Yeah, no, it's quite interesting because I think Sheffield United, I'm trying to get the game up here, they're playing on the weekend on Sunday, and I noticed that their odds were quite high on that too, which is surprising considering I think both games they're playing relegation battlers. Yeah, so...
sorry, I'm trying to get the game up here.
No, I'm inclined to agree with that, especially because doing some digging in terms of kind of like stats in terms of Villa as well, the most fouled side. But in games when they've played against the top half at home, it seems we're currently in the top half. They've conceded 2+ in all of them, in every single one. And also Sheffield United have scored in 6 out of 7 away to teams that are currently in the bottom half. And Villa are obviously struggling, trying to avoid relegation. So you can't see anything but a Sheffield United win in my book. Before the break, Villa were struggling. They play good football, but they just can't seem to put it in the back of the net, and they always seem to find ways of shipping goals the other way. So I'd be inclined to see Sheffield United pick right up where they left before lockdown. I can see them scoring a couple of goals, to be honest. But yeah, kind of in terms of cards as well, like I said, Villa are the most fouled, but they also commit the 4th most fouls in the league. But then saying that, they've only conceded 2+ cards in 3 out of 5 against teams in the top half, whereas Sheffield United have seen 2+ and 6 out of 7 away to teams in the bottom half. So I think it's all on Sheffield United for me, this one. I'd go with a Sheffield United win for them to see 2 cards as well.
Yeah, good call. I think, so they're playing Sheffield United, are playing the ultimate overachievers. Sorry, Jonas. They're playing Newcastle on Sunday. For those who don't know, Jonas is a massive fan of Newcastle, which is quite a shame. But basically, so for both games, they're actually... I'm not sure what the odds are for the Aston Villa game, but I assume you're saying that they're over evens, Jonas?
They were like 2.25 and was like close to even, so minus 0.25. So I'll just go for the minus 0.25 bet.
Yeah, that seems quite crazy. All right, and then anything for the Man City game, fellas?
I've got to try not to let bias come into this one, but it's very annoying because I had tickets to go and see City Arsenal. I was like, they're ready, and then obviously it was the first game to be cancelled in England for the lockdown.
Yes.
So I didn't get to go and see that one. I was going to go and watch it with a friend who's also an Arsenal fan, so that was going to be a fun day. But no, Man City got 2nd best home XG in the league. Arsenal have been struggling a bit away from home this season as well. I think they've got a lot of draws, but
maybe for about 5 seasons they have, mate. Or maybe 10. That was generous.
Maybe, but no, I mean, again, biased, but at the same time, even just looking at that, so I think I can see it being a close run thing until, I reckon, the first half, I can really see City scoring. I think Arsenal got the score sheet because City at the back, regardless of what XG says, we're calamitous at times. We do some of the most silly things, particularly with Aubameyang, the pace of Aubameyang. I can see you scoring, but I'd have City as 3-1 winners in that one. I was going to go on Greg's stall, but if I was to predict the scoreline, I'd say Man City to win 3-1.
Yeah, right. But you're biased, mate. And I'll stay out of it too. I'm biased too. Jonas, what do you think, mate?
I would stay away from it. I don't really know. -1.5 City, not that appealing. +1.5 Arsenal, not that appealing. No, I don't have any strong opinions about this game, so just shy away.
It's a very exciting game for anyone, though. You've got Pep Guardiola playing Mikel Arteta for the first time, so that'll be very interesting. And I'm interested to see how Arsenal will go because, if they can't get fired up for this game, we're in serious trouble. But we'll see how they go. We'll move on to Friday, fellas. We've got 2 games on Friday, Norwich City versus Southampton, and we also have Spurs versus Manchester United, feature game there. I was personally very interested in the odds here because I saw Manchester United heading in as favourites, which I was quite surprised by. I understand that they are away and there's no crowd advantage for Spurs, but Harry Kane and Son are back, and I think that's huge for the Spurs. What do you think about this one, Jonas?
I mean, Son has been in Korea doing his military duty, right, for 3 weeks, so he should be
correct.
Finished top of the class.
Well, to be honest, it's going to be interesting to see how Pogba and Fernandes play together. It's going to be first time they'll be doing that in an official match. People are going crazy about them on Twitter after a game against West Brom, like a training game.
Which Manchester United lost.
Well, yeah.
I'll just put that out there.
Didn't even go in the goal.
I didn't even watch the game. I've just seen on Twitter. Again, I don't really have any information about anything. I don't really know much about how the teams is going to be looking when they get back. It's going to be interesting. I think what would make sense is wait it out to see how the first 10-15 minutes goes and kind of get a feel. I can see myself going either way, both for the home team and away team for that game. But I probably will see how United line up offensively and see how they're able to break down Tottenham and probably be ready to chip in on United if it looks good.
Interesting. George, you seeing anything in the cards, mate?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I spotted with cards. I mean, just previously interesting you mentioned that because as we know, Twitter's an absolutely wonderful place at times. And as you said, everyone was raving about Bruno and Pogba. And I thought, I'll have a look at this. I know I'm a City fan, but I can appreciate class when I see it. Expecting to be absolutely wowed. And it was just a ball into the box from Pogba, which Bruno Fernandes leapt at and put it wide out for a goal kick. But for some reason, it was the move of the match, which I'm not really sure why. But no, in terms of cards, kind of again delving into the stats. Obviously having Harry Kane and Son back is absolutely massive for Spurs, but they just kind of seem to capitulate a lot. They can look like they're going to do something really good and then just falter. With cards, when they've played at home to teams in the top half, they've seen 2+ cards in 4 out of 6 games. Likewise, United have seen 2+ in 6 out of 7 away to the top as well. But kind of looking at the way teams play, when it's a big game like this, there's often a lot of challenges flying in. I know Spurs, when they play a big game like this, is when they tend to commit the most fouls or do the most silly things. They're quite controlled in terms of their tackling against lower half opponents. So I think for me on this one, if I was to delve in, again, I'll be kind of looking, when kind of odds are released elsewhere, I'll be having a look. But if I was to play anything, I'd probably go both teams over one card. And I'd expect that personally, given how many times it's happened. I'd expect that to be probably around the 5-4 mark if I was to see it. That's where I'd be looking at. But again, it depends who the referee is as well. I mean, I'm not sure if it's actually been announced yet, but if you get a Mike Dean or something like that, those odds will probably drop. But that's the line I think I'd look to play if I was to have a go on Spurs Monday night.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if Jose's implemented anything that he had a good start with them, didn't he, in his first few games, but he's now had an extra few months with the COVID break. He had the infamous training session in some park in England, didn't he?
Yeah, but Dele Alli as well, he's been massive for Jose Mourinho since he took over at Spurs. He's contributed to a lot of goals, and he's obviously suspended for this game after posting on COVID on social media, so he's an absentee. I know Son and Kane are coming back, but I think under Jose, Dele Alli's been quite important. So interesting to see how much they miss him.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see how Pogba comes back, because historically, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of Paul Pogba, so maybe I'm a bit biased, but he's not like he set the world alight all the time with Man United. It's more, you hope that he kind of doesn't take over the show, because it seems like things were really working out for Man United going into the break with, Bruno Fernandes setting the world alight. He was, I saw, I think it was BBC's Team of the Season. He was in BBC's Team of the Season, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Outrageous.
But I guess that kind of shows how good he was, even though it is outrageous. It kind of does show how good he has been for those few games he's played for United. Is anything from the Norwich Southampton game, fellas? That's probably probably one of the worst games of the round. But anything from there?
For me, Southampton, they commit the most fouls on average per game in the league. But interestingly, they've also seen the third least cards out of anyone. So it's kind of tricky with this one. And again, Norwich haven't seen too many cards on it, but they play at home against the bottom half. They've seen, I think, 2 out of the 5 games they've played at home to teams in the bottom half. They've only seen 2 or more cards in 2 of them. At the same time, it's not necessarily cards, but an interesting stat I saw was when they've played against the bottom half, they've scored in 4 out of 5. I can see with Southampton, they've improved massively under Harsnell, and I think the fact that they've got him under a new contract is great. I think it's brilliant. Particularly after I might talk about it later on with the Leicester game, but he, when they lost 9-0 at home to Southampton, everyone was kind of calling for his head, saying, "Oh, this is ridiculous." But he gave him time and he coached himself out of that situation, and I think that's good. But with this one, I'd be leaving it alone for cards. I don't think I'd be touched in this one, just simply because you can commit the most fouls, but if they've seen these cards, Norwich don't see that many either. So I should be kind of very lucky to get this one right, I think. So I'd be steering clear of this one.
Well, can I ask you, George, because that is bizarre that Southampton are the most foul conceding team, but then on the other hand, they're coming 3rd or 4th last in terms of yellow cards.
Yep.
Would the reasoning behind that be maybe referees? They're just getting a string of lenient referees, or would you say something else?
I don't think they're necessarily the dirty side in terms of some of the fouls they commit. I think they're little, you see so many teams. City, Man City, a prime example, that they pick up the odd booking, but overall they don't get that many. But they're constantly fouling teams that are looking to break away to break it up, as opposed to being just a nasty side that want to clatter people, as you see in other leagues as well. I think that's the main reason, because Southampton, they're a hard-working side, so they're not nasty fouls, but they do commit a lot of them because they work so hard. They put the pressure on. And I think that's a large contributor to that. I don't think they're a nasty side in any which way.
Yeah, no, I remember watching Man City and Arsenal last time, and I was stunned by how they get away with so many yellow cards. And I think that's a theme with Man City at the moment. The likes of Rodrigo and Gundogan. They're masters at it, aren't they?
Yeah, as well. Yeah, full of them.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, let's go on to Saturday, fellas. Big day of games here, from what it looks like here. We've got 4 games. We've got Watford-Leicester. We've got Brighton versus Arsenal. Arsenal backing up only, 3 days after. And then you've got West Ham-Wolves, and you've got Bournemouth playing Palace. What are you guys seeing in this one? We'll start with you, Jonas.
So Watford against Leicester, I think Leicester ended pretty well, and I think they got a huge potential. I think I backed them the majority of the times this year, so probably continue with that flow and go with Leicester. What was the other games you mentioned?
Yeah, mate. So we've got Wolves and West Ham. We've got Brighton and Arsenal. Why don't we just go game by game? Brighton versus Arsenal. Do you see anything there?
What's the prices?
That's a great question, mate. Well, last time I looked, Arsenal were at 212, I think.
I'm just going to get my laptop. I got something written on there. Sorry, 1 second.
That's all right, mate. George, do you want to keep us going, mate? Maybe talk about Watford Leicester?
Yeah, so I actually did a write-up for a guy you've previously had on the podcast, Mark O'Hare at Wheeler Betting. Did a write-up for him on...
Great man.
Yeah, excellent man. Very good. So for the Watford and Leicester game, and obviously in terms of going kind of into the stats, as it were, like average fouls that they commit, that sort of thing. Kind of going through it, Watford are a much better side when they're playing at home. Their last home game saw them end Liverpool's invincible challenge with a resounding 3-0 win. And they looked excellent, absolutely excellent at home. They probably outplayed Liverpool more than probably deserved to score maybe 4. And then, for the following game, they went away to Crystal Palace and lost. So their away form is suffering massively. But then comes into context of what we've been discussing. Away sides actually faring better. But Watford are at home here against obviously Leicester City, who've not for the first time been the surprise package this season in terms of the way they play football. But it's going to be I think it'll be a tough game for Leicester. They'll be made to work for it by Watford. But I do fancy Leicester to come away with, they've scored 2+ goals away to the bottom half in 6 out of 7 games. So, and also in terms of Watford's, their home games against teams in the top 6, there's been over 2.5 goals on 3 out of 4 occasions. So if there's going to be goals, I fancy Leicester to get the larger share of them. So I'd see, and also Watford being how many cards they do get. I think they're 3rd in terms of the most carded side in the Premier League. And they get their fair amount as well. So I think when they've been in home games against the top 6, they've seen 2+ cards in 3 out of 4 games. I've actually picked, it'll be on Betfair in terms of the odds on that. So I really like Leicester to score 2, Leicester 5+ corners, and Watford 2 cards. And I imagine that'll be, I personally have that around the 13-8 mark in terms of odds. I know you guys do in decimals, don't you? Usually a lot of the time, but I think.
Can you give me a quick conversion, mate?
Quick conversion.
37.
See what?
Did you give a conversion there, Jonas?
Yeah.
Wait, I'll say I've got the website up.
375, I think it is.
But I did find this quite interesting, this game day too, because you've got both Wolves and Leicester playing away. You've got Wolves playing West Ham, relegation battlers. You've got Leicester playing Watford, relegation battlers. Both Leicester and Wolves are seeing prices well above even. So for me, that was quite surprising, even though they are playing away from home. But if there was ever a time to play away from home, it's probably now.
Yeah, definitely. Just quickly go out, so 13-8 as a decimal, according to this, odds 2.63 would be for that, which it may be higher, maybe, but I'd say around that mark should be right for the Leicester game. So which game was it you were just discussing?
Yeah, so I said both. I mean, we've discussed Watford Leicester, but I just went by the Wolves West Ham game.
Yeah. This one does interest me, if I'm honest, in terms of the cards. West Ham have seen 2 or more cards again when they're playing the top half at home. They've seen 2 or more cards in 7 out of 7. So they see, obviously, every time they play a team at home in the top half, they commit a lot of fouls and they do see cards. And interestingly, when Wolves play a team from the lower half away, the opposition that they've been playing has seen 2+ in 7 out of 8. So for me, West Ham to see 2 cards is definitely within the bet. And interestingly, alongside that, Wolves have scored in 8 out of 8 away to the bottom half. But they've also conceded in 8 out of 8 as well. So both teams have scored a lot in that one. So with that one, I definitely have West Ham to see 2 cards. But I'd also see West Ham. I'd also see Wolves to score. If I was to be a bit adventurous, I'd say Wolves to score 2. But to keep it safe, 2 cards for West Ham and Wolves to score would be an absolute cert for me, I think, given the stats behind it.
Yep, Jonas, mate, you've done a bit of research now, mate.
Yeah, so Leicester was a pretty big favourite, 2.2 away to Watford, even though Watford played great against Liverpool. I would stick with my pick there and go for Leicester minus 0.25 at 1.9. Brighton Arsenal, I wouldn't touch that before I see how they play against City, even though it's two completely different games. Odds 2.2 seems tempting on Arsenal, but we'll just stay away for the time being. West Ham Wolves, I don't have any strong opinion about that. Probably go for Bournemouth draw, no bet at 1.8 against Palace.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff. I mean, if you could get Arsenal at 2.2 after a win to against Man City, then you'd take that any day of the week. But that's probably not going to happen.
We shall see.
I mean, there's sometimes I've seen in the past, and if you just have this lines open, because now there's so many games going on in the future, you might be able to get on some good bets if you can see some injuries, some cards, or anything like that can lead to suspensions. And I guess that's what I'd be looking out for, even though you wouldn't be able to get on many of the soft books because they will remove the games while the other game is playing. The Asian books still have them out, so keep an eye out for that and just see what's happening.
Yep. All right. Cheers, Jonas. We will move ahead to Sunday then, fellas. We have 3 games here, headlined by the massive derby between Everton and Liverpool. And then the other games there are Jonas's Newcastle playing Sheffield United, as we mentioned earlier, and also Aston Villa versus Chelsea. So Chelsea returning there against an Aston Villa who played 4 days earlier. As I said before, decent price here for Sheffield United, I think, here against Newcastle, who are, as I said, also the ultimate overachievers when it comes to XG. So, fellas, we'll start with you again, Jonas, mate. What are you seeing? Anything exciting you hear on Sunday?
Probably the most boring bet, but I'd probably go with like an under 2 goal in Newcastle versus Sheffield United. Just expect a typical Newcastle game, pretty boring, low scoring. Be lucky if I don't think any of the teams is going to score 2 goals. Probably going to end 1-0 to either team or 1-1. But yeah, I go for the under 2.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Definitely, I'd kind of back Jonas up on that, especially obviously with the stats. I mean, Newcastle, sorry Jonas, I know it pains me to say it, but got the worst expected goals when playing at home out of anyone in the division. It's like 13.449 and they've only scored 12. But all of their games, I mean, I think they've seen under 2.5 in the 3 out of 3 that they've played against the top half, but outside of the top 5. Top 5 or top 6, so they're kind of obviously the mediocre lot. And again with Sheffield United, look at that, they've seen under 2.5 in 6 out of 7 away to teams in the bottom half. So I mean, everything is just screaming out low goals. Like not a lot's going to happen here. So I'd probably say, I mean, I don't think Newcastle are even going to score. I'm sorry to say, I don't think they're going to get past. I don't think they're going to get past Sheffield United. So I think this could be like a 1-0, as you said. But yeah, so that's again kind of both those games really, particularly in the Everton-Liverpool one, the big one in Merseyside. It seems to me that this fixture is hyped up every single season. It's the one that's going to have lots of goals. It's going to have this. It's going to have that, and it always disappoints. There's not a lot of cards, not usually a lot of goals. Occasionally there is, but more often than not, it's a 1-0, 2-0. There's not actually that many cards shown. I think in the last 5 head-to-heads, there's only been 3 or more cards once. So if I was to I might just watch the Everton-Liverpool game just to kind of enjoy it. But if I was to have a go, I'd be looking more at the unders, I think.
Yeah, interesting stuff. And I love what you said about Newcastle too, mate. I think if Newcastle score more than 1 or 2 goals, I'm happy to run nude around Oslo. I'm that confident. Jonas, mate, anything else you want to say about Sunday?
The thing is, Liverpool, they've been so hyped up. Everything has been going very good for them. I think I would probably have a small bet on Everton to win straight up at 5.5. The price seems extremely high. It's a derby. Nobody really knows how fit either team is going to be coming back from the break. We all know that Milner is going to be fit, but apart from him, it's It's, I think 5.5 for Everton at home. It's playable.
Yeah, and it's an improving Everton too under oh god, his name's escaped me. What's the new manager? Ancelotti, of course. Yeah, so they've been seriously improving under Ancelotti, and I mean, Liverpool are kind of, you know, one of their underpinning features is their heart, I guess. So you wouldn't think they would come back slow from the break, but seriously, if I'm a Liverpool player, why on earth would I be motivated to go back and play football? Because all I've got to win is 1 or 2 games and I've won the EPL. Like, it's not like they're they're fighting it out or anything like that. So, I mean, if I'm a Sadio Mane, if I'm Mohamed Salah, these guys who are playing so many games for their respective African teams, they finally get a nice little break. I mean, I'm surely they kick the feet up.
Oh, absolutely. You kind of think so. I mean, personally for me, obviously the City family is screaming out for a Yerry Mina masterclass from each set piece they have, but I don't see it happening, unfortunately. I think, with it kind of all but wrapped up for Liverpool, I think they're going to want to get it done. The fact that they can come back, it's been slightly marred by, obviously, with lockdown. I think a lot of Liverpool fans I know is, it's great, but it's always going to be known as the year where kind of coronavirus almost ruined it. It's not just been straightforward. There's always something. It could only happen to Liverpool. But yeah, so I mean, with that one again, I'd personally just leave that one alone, and I think I'd just watch that. But I'd give Everton a chance, definitely, because considering how many times it's been low scoring in these games, obviously Liverpool want to put right the fact the last time on the road that they were thumped 3-0. They want to put that right, particularly against Everton. So I think we're in for a really good game, but to watch, not be involved in.
Yep. All right. Fair call, mate. And then interestingly enough in that one is that if Arsenal go away and beat Manchester City, then Liverpool will win the title. So hopefully Arsenal are on your side, Liverpool. But we'll move over to Monday, and we've got Man City versus Burnley, just the one game. We'll start with you since you're a Citizens fan, George, mate. City heavy favourites in this one, and I guess this would be Burnley's first game back from the break. So they've got basically almost an extra week on everyone else in terms of preparation, and City at very, very small odds, very unattractive odds, I would say. What do you reckon here, mate?
I wouldn't be going for in terms of odds. I wouldn't back an outright win, because on, for example, 365, 1-6, there's just no value there whatsoever. I mean, you'd think, looking at the stats, even you'd say it's a straightforward win. City with the second best expected goals at home. They've also got the lowest goals against at home. So you'd be kind of thinking it's a sure thing. But this is City that we're talking about. I mean, this is a kind of game that many years ago I'd have been, well, this is going to be a tough one. But we're the team that are famous for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. So this one we could either win this 6-0 or lose it 2-1. I honestly don't know. It's just the sort of team that City are, especially this season. We've kind of, obviously, we're out of the title race now. That's done and dusted in my book. We've got other things to focus on. But yeah, so I wouldn't touch kind of a full-time result here. Even with cards, again, City at home, like I said to you earlier, and we mentioned, they do have obviously niggling fouls, but they've seen, I think, 2+ cards in 3 out of 6 games against teams in the top half. Again, they're not very strong stats there. And even when Burnley play away against teams in the top half, the opposition's only seen 2+ in 1 out of 7. So, you could potentially go on the unders cards here, like under 2 City cards or something like that, depending on what that sort of value is. Because again, Burnley, they're not the sort of team that have got blistering pace and are going to beat you on the break. They're more from kind of set pieces. So I think we could potentially be in for a dull game with this one, if I'm honest. I think Burnley, as you said, they're going to be rested. So I think they'll be resolute, trying to sort of pick us off maybe from set pieces. But yeah, so I don't see a fantastic game here. I mean, now I've said that, we'll go out and win 6-0. But yeah, from just looking at the stats, there's not a lot of value to be had there, I don't think, unless you went on the unders. But even so, then I don't think it'd be worth getting on.
Jonas?
Yeah, no, nothing too interesting. Minus 225 at 1.87 is like, yeah, no, it's, if there was anything, I'd probably go for the under 3.5, which is 202. But again, not loving it. Everything here, it's very hard to predict anything now, how the game is going to be played out.
Yeah.
With no audience, no, no audience, you don't know how match fit the players are. It can go both ways. It can be one team just being even more dominating and City being even more dominating than what they could be at their peak. It's going to be dangerous for any team.
Yeah, well, there is an audience, mate. It's just slightly artificial.
Okay.
Yeah, come on, mate. Don't bag the. I mean, I don't know if you guys. 100% doubt you've been watching it, but the rugby league in Australia has been putting the crowd noises to test, and it's been great to watch. It's actually quite good. And I believe did La Liga use it over the weekend?
It made me laugh quite a bit because they did use it, but they if a team has a shot and it's very close, so I did notice it. The shot, walking away ready for the goal kick, and just the keeper's got the ball and spins it out ready for a spot. You hear the ooh from obviously that they've managed to get on the computer, and it's the most delayed thing you've ever seen, and it's hilarious. But I think it's still good to have that kind of crowd noise, though. But there's just certain bits you probably shouldn't use it on.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, sometimes it's been really effective in Australia with the rugby, but sometimes it's kind of one of those things. If you notice it, it's probably not working out too well. So a couple of times I've noticed it, and I've been like, oh, geez. I mean, that was a bit. I mean, it's almost impossible to do, isn't it? Because you're on the go, you're trying to create sounds that are really not realistic, and against scenarios where you can never really judge what's the appropriate sound level and stuff like that. But we'll see how it goes in the Premier League. Before we go through kind of your best bets in the EPL over the weekend, I'll just summarise kind of Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, Championship. I know you, George, you do a lot of research in terms of your cards on all of those leagues. Mate, is there anything... Don't want to go into too much depth, but there's like a best bet in those leagues you've got, mate?
It's difficult because with card markets, it seems to be the only one that the bookies decide to release latest, when referees are announced, everything, this, that and the other. So, for example, there's a lot of games midweek that haven't got markets open yet, so I've kind of got my stats prepared of what I want to go on, but until I know prices, it's hard to ascertain as to whether I'll actually get onto it or not. But I know a couple that stick out for me in particular. There's a double that I like in the Bundesliga, and that's Cologne and Augsburg, both to receive 20 plus booking points in their games. Cologne are away at Leverkusen, and when Leverkusen are played at home to teams in the bottom half, the opposition has seen 2+ in 5 out of 7. Cologne, one of the teams that commit the most fouls. They also receive the most fouls, and they're also third in terms of the discipline table of how many cards they've received. Away from home, they average around 2.47. So Cologne to see 2 cards, and then also Augsburg. It depends on how you want to say it. They're at home to Hoffenheim. Augsburg in the lower half. Hoffenheim looking to get that Europa League spot. Again, when Hoffenheim play away at the lower half. Again, these are just kind of overview stats as opposed to delving deeper. The opposition, when Hoffenheim played away, the opposition has seen 2+ cards in 7 out of 7. And Augsburg, when they're playing at home versus the top half, they've seen 2+ in 4 out of 6. But Hoffenheim are a side that draw a lot of challenges. Teams play quite aggressively against them. And a double for Cologne and Augsburg both receive 20+ is just over evens. So over here this would be like 2.14 if you like, and that's on Sky Bet so far. I want to see obviously what the odds are elsewhere for that. That's a fancy of mine. In terms of other odds, there's La Liga, Bilbao at home, always a favourite of mine in terms of cards, as well as Betis. They're playing away and they're playing each other, so that'll be one that I keep an eye on in terms of when the prices are released, really. I mean, the card market is all a case of when prices are released, trying to jump on as early as you can, because often you can find mistakes occasionally as well in terms of the pricing. But so that's those are my fancies so far for the games coming up. But when those markets are released, I'll have some posted for sure.
Yep, great, mate. And Jonas, mate, anything from those leagues?
I haven't placed anything this far now.
No. Jeez, you're not really helping us out here, mate, are you? There's people looking to find value out there, and you've just let them down.
Well, I mean, should I just throw out some numbers? It's early betting is very difficult, and especially the one thing, I can throw out the bet then, and that would be a very good one. Werder Bremen +2 against Bayern München at 205. I don't think Bayern München is as dominating as they were, and they have a lot of injuries right now. So
Yep.
I'll throw it out. I wouldn't put my whole bankroll on it, but give it a little spin.
At least 50% of the bankroll. All right, so we've gone through basically every game day, like I said before, fellas, in the EPL. If you had to pick one of the bets, you threw a few out there, especially you, George, mate. George, can you give me your best pick you reckon in the EPL?
EPL. So I'm going to go with, like I said before, I did the write-up for the guys at We Love Betting on Watford Leicester. I'm going to be adventurous. I'm not going to go for an easy, just an easy bet. I'm going to go with Leicester to score 2 plus Leicester 5 plus corners, Watford 2 plus cards. And that'll be up on Betfair. I imagine with it should be a fairly decent price. But then the only other one that comes close to it, so I'd definitely have that one. Sorry, excuse me, all my notes just in front of me here. Definitely, I think I'd have Wolves to score 2 plus. No, saying that, looking at both the stats for both sides, because I think West Ham will score. I'd go over 2.5, but West Ham over 2.5 goals, but West Ham to see 2 plus cards, so over 1 card for West Ham and over 2.5 goals.
Good man, Jonas.
Under to Newcastle. Under to Newcastle and Sheffield United -0.25. That would be my bets. My best ones.
I love how you've worked against your. Bias with Newcastle. There's absolutely no bias in that call at all.
What do you mean? Under 2, it's going to be an easy 1-0 victory for Newcastle. They're doing their job. They got the best goalkeeper in the league, and
That's what I like. It's just non-biased. It's completely down the middle on the fence. Love to see it.
Well, I know we're not great offensively, but defensively we're pretty good. That's why the under 2 is a good bet.
I have to say, you do have one of my favourite players in the league, though, in Alan St.
Maxim? Yeah.
Oh,
What a baller.
incredible.
Well, it's a shame he's not allowed to wear his Gucci headband anymore.
Is he not?
No.
Kind of signature look, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's like...
It's like Tevez is snood.
Well, I think he wasn't allowed to wear any branded things.
Oh, shit.
So he had to get his headbands from Sports Direct instead.
Oh, that's an incredible fact. I love that. That's brilliant.
You produce more facts about headbands than you have betting, Jonas.
What do you mean? I've given out a couple here now.
Maybe his headband had COVID or something like that. Can't have that in there. All right, fellas, before we end things, obviously we've got the answer to the quiz question coming up, which you'll have to stick around for because it's fascinating stuff. I thought I'd throw out Marius's CBS pick of the week. So for those who don't know, Marius has gone big time, our CEO, Marius Norheim. He is now, for every Friday, he's jumping on CBS Sports HQ, which is, according to CBS, the second biggest sports broadcasters in the world at the moment, or in America, sorry. So he has gone big time. So he appears there every Friday for anyone who wants his free value tips. And his tip of the week, and I'll tell you, he hasn't gone too audacious here. He's gone under 4.5 in the RB Leipzig versus Dusseldorf game. Under 4.5 at 140 at the moment on William Hill. So we'll see what happens there. There could be a shift in the market there. I wouldn't be surprised. So there's Marius's pick for the week. And then if you want to listen to a gambler's tip of the week, then you can go with me. I'll be going with I'll be heading towards the NRL. For all you Aussie listeners out there, you may have noticed that there's kind of been a trend with the new rules that have come in place in the opening 3 rounds in terms of these massive margins that are being picked up at the moment with the new rule changes. So in general, I have been reasonably successful lately handicapping teams with a nice, -10, -15 handicap at the moment. There's definitely, I would say there's an edge there at the moment. There's about, I'd say in the first 24 games, I think 8 have been decided by 12 points or more. So they're seeing some heavy margins there. And I'd be looking at the Tigers. The Tigers are playing the Cowboys, I think, on Saturday, or maybe Saturday or Friday, especially if Michael Morgan's out. I like them at the price of $2.25 on Betway. And then I honestly wouldn't mind throwing in a little -10 handicap, -9.5, something like that, and you'll get an even bigger price there, and just have something small on that. So that'll be my little tip. But other than that, fellas, it's been a cracker. Thanks for coming on. I assume you want to promote your Twitter feed, George. It's superb stuff for those who haven't checked it out yet. He's giving away a plethora of data, all free of cost, mate. So do you want to throw out your Twitter handle, George?
Yeah, of course. No, thank you for that. So if you want to find me and find the spreadsheets that I do, I've just released the spreadsheets for this week's games, actually, so you can go there and find them. And that will be at C George Gamble. So just the letter C at the beginning, C George Gamble, and you'll be able to find all of those right there.
Good man. And Jonas, you want to promote anything?
If you want a Gucci headband, go to farfetch.com.
Good man. I will promote though for you. We've got the part 1 of the Trademate Sports Story coming out on Thursday. So if you'd like to watch that, Jonas, that'd be good. That'll be a cracking series starting on Thursday. So make sure you tune in to watch that.
I'll see if I can get a headband and we can have a competition and give away one Gucci headband.
All right, I love that. Maybe if this podcast goes bananas, maybe we'll have a little little giveaway next week.
Question of the week type thing. Whoever wins that gets yourself a Gucci headband.
Yeah, that's great.
Love it. I mean, there'll be stacks of people. I mean, maybe St. Maxim will even be in the market for one, it sounds like.
He's currently in a queue outside Sports Direct for a replacement.
All right, so George gave away plenty of best tips this weekend, and Marius's best bit of information was about a headband. So superb stuff from you, Jonas.
I'll finish up with the best bet of the weekend, though, which is a UFC bet.
Oh,
good. Piqued my interest.
Yeah, Lauren Murphy against Roxanne Modafferi. You're going for Modafferi at 1.8 plus.
Good.
Nice.
We'll see how that goes.
I didn't know you followed the UFC too much, mate.
Oh, a bit of betting in every now and then.
Yeah, righto. Other than the time you kicked me in the head out of nowhere, that's about it. Really.
You said bring it.
Yeah, oh, Jesus Christ. All right, fellas. Before we talk even more shit, we'll finish off with the quiz answer, and I'll repeat it for you guys. You guys can have a crack at it. So the quiz question was, how many, if I can get it up, how many clubs have their main shirt sponsorship is gambling related? And I threw out the options of 5, 8, 10, and 13. George, do you want to have the first guess, mate?
I just think most of the teams in kind of the top 6, they don't have, it's not gambling companies. It seems to be the teams lower down than that, but 13 seems like a stretch. So I feel like I should play safe and go in the middle and say 10.
All right. Jonas?
All right. I was thinking about either 8 or 10. So since you said 10, I'm going to go for 8.
Poor choice, mate. You got that right, George. 10. And if you're interested to know who the teams are, it's Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Everton, Newcastle United, Norwich, Watford, West Ham, and Wolves. So you're completely right, George. It's just about probably 7th place and down that 10 of them have got a shirt sponsorship that's gambling related. So interesting stuff.
Okay, can I ask you another question then, Alex? How many of this out of these 10 do you think have licenses to operate in UK?
I missed that one. Jonas. Do you want to say it again?
Out of the 10 shirt sponsorships, how many of them do you think have license to operate in the UK?
Oh, good call. Betway? Daffabet? No, Daffabet don't, do they? Mansion? I'll go with 2 or 3.
I don't even know myself, to be honest.
You fucking tosser. I thought you had a bloody answer for it. You got me all excited.
But I don't
Maybe
think
that-
everyone has it.
Maybe that can be the headband giveaway question. Except there's no answer.
That's too easy to figure out themselves. I'm gonna put up like something else that I gotta predict in the future.
All right, mate. I hope to see you on Twitter for once, mate, and you can promote this headband.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, fellas, it's been fun. We'll catch you later, Jonas, if you want to head off. But for those still listening, if you could please do a quick rate and review of the podcast, that would be superb. Subscribe to wherever you're listening to the podcast. And if you are looking to implement any of the strategies we talked about today, value betting strategies, of course, please start a free week of trial of Trademate Sports, built by the man himself, Jonas Gjelstad, with all his ideas put into one software. So if you want to... maybe one day you'll become a professional sports bettor like Jonas if you start just a quick free week trial. And yeah, that's all, fellas. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for having me on again. Enjoyed it.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.